Start a PBA. PBA is a personal branding agency. Now, initially, I actually started a digital marketing agency, or aka SMMA, social media marketing agency, and I've actually transitioned it to more of an IPGA format. But lastly, I actually converted it from an IPGA into a PBA, and I'm gonna explain to you guys in just a few seconds now why I did that, and I'm also gonna prove you guys some of the numbers I made, and also why I'm not so satisfied with my previous business model, and why I believe that PBA is perhaps the more of a scalable business model in order for you to make more money if you want to start a business online. So without further ado, guys, let's literally begin. So this was my SMMA agency. Sorry, let me just make it a little bit smaller for you guys. So this was actually my SMM agency. It's called Double Tap Agency, and we actually still run, and we are basically a standard SMMA company, which basically takes in monthly gigs where we basically create social media videos. We even have film production team, and then we post them on TikTok and Instagram, and as well as other social media platforms. And as you guys can see, this was how much we actually made monthly, which is 14,850 ringgit. I want to make this absolutely clear that in Malaysia we actually use ringgit, so if you do see this in dollars, do not confuse. $14,000 is converted, so you kind of have to do it divided by 5. So we would be, I would guess, around $3,000 per month netto. So that is basically the numbers. Obviously, this is just it's not the exact numbers because we had some gigs that were not really documented, but overall we were not the lowest agency, we were not the worst, but we were also not the most extraordinary agency out there. So we actually, this was quite recently, just a few months ago, and it's been quite satisfying. I could have scaled this, I could have continued with this and the business structure the way it is, but I decided to kind of spice it up a little bit, and so hence why I believe that this specific business model is much better. Now, PBA again kind of stands for personal branding agency, but the way I kind of market is personal branding. And I know these terms, which I'm going to explain just shortly, are quite oversimplified, but I promise you guys, once you understand the fundamentals and the principles, it'll all slowly make a little bit more sense. So the main differentiator here, which I believe kind of makes the money game changing point, if that's the right word for it, is the perspective of having an organization and the perspective of personal values. Now, when I previously ran the social media marketing agency, we were more organizational oriented. So we were more focused on a unified vision. We were more focused on basically having a consistent goal, which we would obviously strive after. We would also be internationally or actually nationally standardized, and that's basically having the same type of services and if not packages like our other competitors within the same industry. And we realized that the majority of our customers were actually invested rather in our services and products. They were rather invested in our services and products rather than who we are as a person. Now, if you guys have a corporate company, that is absolutely fine, but I believe from a fundamental level that it's better to invest more in a person rather than investing in the product of a company. But I'll explain you guys just shortly now in depth what I actually mean by that. And also, the organizational structure is terminal, so meaning that if we don't provide our services or products anymore, or our clients and customers don't enjoy the way our company operates, our company could literally end like today by tomorrow. I've seen that happen so many times because it literally happened with me. I've started so many businesses, and I've literally shut down my business a day after. Like literally I ran it for a few months, and then just in one night, like boom, it was gone. And like, you know how people are nowadays, they have an attention span of like a banana, so they literally forget about the business. And from a sentimental value, I think that's not like, I mean, that's not so great, because you want to have some emotional attachment to that company, and for it to suddenly disappear and for people to actually forget about it also kind of hurts you in the heart, I guess. So if you were to run a PBA or personal branding agency or a personal brand, like you would have to understand that the focus point, the vocal point is you as a person. So how much you optimize yourself as a person is how much people are actually willing to invest in you. And I think that's the glory of it, because as you sharpen your skills as a person, as you become much better in what you do as a person, the more people are actually attracted to it. And obviously I think that's a nice parallel motion, because while you are getting better literally by who you are, the more people you actually attract. Now, in order to have these types of characteristics and features to make you more of a attractable person, let's say, you need to have a vision that's not always constant. Like if we take our biggest role models out there, we will realize that their vision is quite holistic. Either they're super vague and holistic, or they are adaptable towards these circumstances. And that is more of what I personally would say the changing game here, because if your vision is adaptable to the ever and quickly changing industries, then the better off you are. Because again, if your vision is constant and you're just chasing after the same thing on and on, not only might the clients like be limited to what you offer, but also like you as a person, you actually might get bored. And I'm a person, like, I don't know about you guys, but I like to change business ideas so many times, and hence why like I can never make up my mind, and like I can literally never stay to one business idea. So I just have one vague vision and one adaptable vision, which kind of encompasses all the other business ventures I do. Anyway, so the goals can change. Now I've seen companies and corporates where their goals also change, but often there's a lot of bourgeoisie process. So there's a lot of like procedures for the companies to go through before they actually make some change, because I learned that companies are quite conservative, especially when it comes to internal change. So if you're a person and if it's literally your personal values, and like you can literally change your goals like from today to tomorrow, like your goals can be quite fluid in that sense, and you can obviously always adjust your goals to more of a flexible vision, as I mentioned earlier. Now, standardized by comparison. Now, that is a good thing. So I like this because if you are in a unique space, like for example, how I am in the personal branding space, and if your space is not oversaturated, if there is not a lot of competitors within your space, then you can kind of set out the standards for yourself. Because if you lead the game, then you can essentially determine how you want to make the game, and that's a good thing. Now, whatever type of personal branding or what type of values you portray out there, if your space is, again, there are not a lot of people that kind of set the standards for them for you, then obviously you can kind of like create these standards for yourself. Now, audience is invested in you, and I think this is like a very super beneficial point, because again, I mentioned earlier that when companies suddenly go bankrupt or suddenly fail, and it's because either their product doesn't work, or something turns the customers off so much that they are literally not invested in the company anymore. And very often it's literally the product or service they offer. And so in your sense, as a personal brand, like, the audience is invested in you. If you are a shitty person, and if you are just such a dislikable person, then you will have no audience. But I can tell you one thing for sure: if it's for personal brand, even if your product sucks and your services suck, like, if you are an interesting person, if you are a person of value, then people are literally invested in whatever you sell. So you can literally sell anything, but because they are so established in terms of a relationship with you, they are automatically invested to what you sell. So that is pretty much the plus side of it. And also it can be carried out through generations. It comes back to the idea of businesses having a terminal end, or a so-called ending dateline or exit strategy. If it's a personal brands can last forever, because again, you might have children and you can have generations who carry the same type of name, but as long as people are invested in you, people might also be invested into the other generations that come after you, perhaps your child, your children, your niece, or perhaps some family members who kind of carry your personal brand around. Now, this is also, again, quite oversimplified, but I want you guys to understand the fundamental principles, because then it kind of makes sense why I'm kind of tilting towards the structure. But when it comes to money, and this is what I realized with my SMMA company, is not only do you have to declare tax, so a percentage of the money goes to tax, but throughout the company, if you guys run a company, you probably know this, but throughout the company, internally, you have to like divide the profits among like the people who work within your company. And again, that is, I mean, not a uncommon practice, but the point is that sometimes it comes to, I would say, a little bit of friction, because, you know, I understand there are people who contribute more, and there are people like, you know, who contribute less, and there are also other people who demand more money than they actually deserve. And sometimes this is quite a tricky decision, because it's very difficult to kind of measure how much a person contributes and how much he can be evenly rewarded with the amount of money. Now, if you have a personal brand, the money ends up with you, and because people are invested in you, you kind of have the authority to divide your money. Obviously, within your personal brand, if you have your own team, you unless you're an absolute jerk, you have the right, or the, I'll say, the authority to divide the money based on, you know, like who you are, as a, like based on I guess your philosophy of breaking down the finance. Because a lot of personal brands, which I know doesn't require such a huge team, a lot of the money literally just ends up with you, especially in the beginning stages. But when you grow as a personal brand, and when you grow as a person, and you slowly, you know, get bigger chunks of money, then obviously you can start your own team and you can give them a percentage of it. But my point here is that the majority, like, of the decision making power is literally held by you, and not like a, you know, organization where there's an entire like bureaucratic process where you basically, you know, go through this, like, I know how it works, the whole funnel system until, okay, you know, it's evenly distributed, and you might have to pay tax. Obviously, personal brand, if it's an established company, you have to pay tax as well. Do not avoid taxes. But yeah, so that is why I actually kind of transitioned more to a PBA kind of structure. And also, last but not least, guys, before I kind of end this video, how long are we at? Oh shit. Last but not least, before I want to end it, I want to make this clear. Now, if you guys have an SMMA structure or an IPJA structure, there's often just there's often just one source of revenue. So one channel of revenue. Now, for my SMMA, it was basically the monthly packages we offered our clients. So we literally just had one type of source of revenue, which we got monthly, and it was quite hectic. But if you guys have a personal brand, and this is basically the funnel I've set out for myself, I made a video how you can start creating your own funnel, but you'll realize that I have multiple sources of where I could literally make money. Okay, now I didn't really, oh, I did, okay. So here's one. It is the Instagram subscriptions, which are, and like the different types of revenue making channels. The great thing is they are very often offered by the features of the platform itself. Now, YouTube has its AdSense, Instagram has its subscriptions, TikTok has its, I mean, depending on your country, has their own creators fund, as well as TikTok Shop and other types of affiliate channels. But this is in general. And then obviously, last but not least, my high ticket product. And like, as you guys can see, that's already 4 channels, and now those are 4 legit channels which already pre-exist. But there are like so many, like numerous ones which you guys can think of, which are like other affiliate links, or if you, oh goodness, excuse me guys, or physical products. If you guys sell a physical product, you can put that in your bio or into your social media. There are, I don't know, giveaways. There are so many different other types of channels which you can incorporate into your personal brand, that just in general like increases your basically your ranges of channels when it comes to making money. Like as I mentioned earlier, SMMA was just one channel. It was literally just the clients paying us monthly, one lump sum amount. But if you have a personal brand, you can be quite creative in how many channels and how you can kind of market it and basically cross sell your different types of products. Anyways, without further ado, I hope this wasn't too long. If you guys did enjoy this video, do give me a thumbs up, but otherwise I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.